So hello and welcome back to my channel guys. So today I will be presenting on learning disability. So learning disability is something through which a child or an adult person suffers from a lifelong condition, and it causes impairment or difficulty to understand new or complex information and to learn new skills which impacts on social functioning. Now how to explain it in simple language? Uh, See the image on the right side. Here the child is unable to understand the difference between D and B, P and Q. So basically he is not able to differentiate how to understand or how to communicate. Like there are examples where a child is not able to understand maths or numbers or algebra or the functionality. A child or adult might have problems with the social communication, but sometimes it's just his or her personality. But in learning disability, there are significant impairment or wiring issues with their neurological development. Okay, so that is learning disability. Let's move further. I told you it's a disorder in one or more psychological programs involved in understanding and using language and other forms. So, language or other forms, suppose in writing, in reading, in hearing, in comprehension, in communications. So, that's what we call as learning disability. So, learning difficulties are of different types. Let me just go through one by one. So we have dyslexia. Basically, a person is not able to write or understand what he or she is trying to make out of. Suppose P, Q, or similar functioning alphabets. So child is not able to comprehend that. Dyscalculia means difficulty in functioning mathematical equations or mathematical terms. Dysgraphia, we have dysgraphia, dysmorphia, dyspraxia, ADHD, and autism. So these are just the tip of the iceberg. I mean the tip of the learning disability, which I'm trying to make you understand in this session. We will see further in the next session. So what are the more versatile or difficult situations for learning disability? Okay. So as I told you, it's a disability or disorder that affects brain ability to process, receive, analyze, and store information. So basically, the kid is not lazy or dumb. In fact, most are just as smart as everyone. Everyone, their brains are just wired differently, and they perceive and use information differently from the common folks or average person. They don't have any issues with their intelligence and motivation. So basically, you can't taunt a kid with an autism. You don't have any motivation, or you just compare it with the normal sibling. So that is totally undertaken for. I mean, that's not his or her concern or problem. They are not able to understand as a normal ways in learning disability. Okay, so as I told you, let's go through dysgraphia. So learning difficulty specific to writing. See in the right side image, it's already given here. So cramped drift, sore hand, poor special planning of sentence and margins, like basically no understanding for sentence or margin, frequent erasing. I mean, he or she is very confused, poor spelling or missing words and letters. And the same way we can go through dyslexia. It's specific to reading. So slow and labor intensive reading, difficulty reading aloud, like he or she is not able to get any confidence, problems writing and spelling, okay, and problems retrieving words. So these are the example of dyslexia. Again I told dyscalculia, difficulty sequencing information or events related to mathematics, difficulty using steps in maths operations, so board mass, bracket of division, multiplication. The child might not be able to understand or differentiate between them. Difficulty identifying number patterns, that is place value, quantity, positive or negative, plus minus, simple interest like carrying and borrowing, or word problems. Okay, so this is related to what should I say, mathematics. Okay, it is related to mathematics. So dyspraxia, learning difficulty specific to fine or gross motor skills, means difference in speech, perception problems, how you see or figure out abstract object, poor hand and eye coordination, poor balance and posture, clumsiness, and fatigue. Okay, so now let's see the specific learning disability. This one, the left side image. So it is related to understanding and using language, how to understand or how to use language. As you know, we are linguistic beings and we depend on language. Basic psychological process, ability to receive, process, recall, and communicate. What he or she is thinking, they might not be able to communicate or remember. So these are the issues: reading, writing, maths. We also have issues with auditory processing, visual processing, sensory motor, that is gross motor skills, social, including self-esteem, transitions, adaptability to different situations. Okay. So how does a teacher helps in understanding or identifying any learning disability? After all, after a parent, एक बच्चा घर से सबसे पहले स्कूल में जाता है. At the age of, let's say, page 5, he or she is in UKG or LKG. So suppose after the parent, how does a teacher help? So a teacher's role is very important in early identification and implementation of specialized teaching methods. Let's just go through it. Early identification. How does she identify? She observes a child's academic performance and identify potential learning problems. Is he or is she able to grasp the material properly? Observing signs. Teachers should pay attention, like difficulty with specific skills, example reading, writing, math. Troubles following direction, usually we say north, south, east, west, if he or she is able to figure out. Poor organizations, all messed up फैला हुआ किताब, like the clothes are not worn properly, the socks are worn in up and side down, no understanding of books where the book is kept, or very slow processing. That is the observing signs. So we can't say for sure that the child is having a learning disability, but there are certain degrees to which he or she might not be able to function at all. Suppose these specific skills, how he or she is communicating with the peers around the same age. Social emotional cues such as low self-esteem, frustrations, anxiety, where a task is not being done, issue or getting anxious, डर लग रहा है, frustrate हो रहे हैं, क्या उनका self esteem कम हो रहा है, is he or she being more silent than they should be, और aggression दिखता है when challenge पूरा नहीं हो पाता है. So when a teacher observes these signs, so what happens is she communicates their finding with parents and school special education staff. So that way they are able to formulate a plan. The parents know that okay fine, their child is special, his or her needs are special, and they need learning in special conditions. Okay. So this is how a teacher is quite important to identify or act as a facilitator to identify learning disability. Okay, so what is dyslexia? Let's go through it. The number one learning disability which we came through was dyslexia. Okay, so dyslexia, which affects reading, writing, and spelling because of differences in how the brain processes language. It makes it hard to connect letters to their sounds. A matlab apple, B, confusion between B and D, confusion between P and Q, confusion between U and V. So this is a difficulty which causes difficulty with decoding words, reading, fluency, and spelling. Excuse me. So this is how it happens. What it involves: difficulty connecting letter with sound, reading, spelling, and writing challenging. What are the key challenges? Slow reading, mixing up letters, and trouble with spelling even when they are motivated to learn. Well, as I already told with the examples of U and V, P, Q, okay, W, M. So these are the difficulty which the child finds in dyslexia. Let's proceed further. Dysgraphia. Neurological learning disability that makes writing usually difficult even for people. It affects a person's ability to write by hand and include problems with handwriting, spelling, organizing thoughts on paper. So what happens is कुछ सोच रहा है बच्चा और वो लिख नहीं पा रहा है, उसको समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि वो कनेक्ट कैसे करे अपने थॉट को उस रियलिटी में. How does it look like? Eligible, ineligible writing. inconsistent letter formation or poor spacing between letter and words. An awkward pencil grip, पेंसिल को ढंग से नहीं पकड़ पाता है, गलत हाथों से या बॉडी पोजीशन या फिर लिखने से थक जाता है. Spelling and grammar problems, struggling with spelling, particularly irregular words. He or she is not able to grasp the grammatical concept of writing in written work, though they may not have species issues when speaking. Organizational challenges. Difficulty getting thoughts onto paper, as I already told, organizing ideas or keeping writing within margins. They don't have any boundaries or foundations for my writing in specific English margins or Hindi margins. Okay, so these are the basic problems which they face with writing issues. Fine. So for today we will only go through this few topics, and the next reading I will move on further in the next slide. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. In the next class we will continue from the next point onward. Thank you so much.